I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, January the 28th, brought to you in part by Southwest Commodities. That's Hadley Bunch in Farwell, Texas, right there on the borderline between the Texas Panhandle and eastern New Mexico. But he specializes in cattle and grain hedging. He could also set you up a speculating account if that's what you're interested in, and sell the livestock risk protection insurance policies that you guys are interested in and I've talked to you about before. I think that's the best deal going, especially for small producers or large. But he can set you up an insurance policy there for you backgrounders on feeder type cattle, or for you cattle feeders on fed cattle. So call Hadley Bunch at Southwest Commodities. Fed cattle market is struggling, and you kind of have to look beneath the surface to see it. You know, you look at the market and you say, well, it's steady. Yeah, but maybe it's not steady. You know, we were getting, and we thought maybe they were token bids because the heat's kind of coming up on some of these packers with a lot of the things that are going on right now. But, you know, we got 137 earlier in the week in the Southern Plains, and now it's backed up where all you can get is 136. Even in Nebraska had 136, and the market's 137, but we're seeing mostly 136 in Kansas and Nebraska, and that doesn't make us feel good here at the end of the week. And we haven't had a lot of trade, and our slaughter's been fairly brisk. And so you know, on the surface you think, well, it's a good steady market. No, it's not a good steady market. It's a weak steady market. But that's kind of frustrating whenever you don't see those bids, and the board is better here towards the end of the week. Early in the week we were suffering under that bearish cattle on feed report that came out on Friday and had everything down in the dumps so bad to start the week out. But it's kind of curious about that fat cattle market, and it's just it's not real whippy here late in the week. But you look at what else is going on all around the country, just a lot of politics going on in the atmosphere right now. We've got interest rates are said to be going up soon, so that's going to affect everything. That's affecting your publicly traded markets. It's sure going to hurt the economy when we you know, raise the interest rates to try to get this inflation under control. But we had the announcement here on Thursday that we were going to have a vacancy in our Supreme Court justices there. We don't know who the nominee to fill that is, but we know what they're going to look like already. Is that the way we fill vacancies in this country now, I guess? I don't know. And I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like there's a lot of warmongering going on right now. And I can't understand why anybody would be rooting for us to get involved in another war unless they're wanting us to forget about something that's going on right now in the news. But we've also got plenty of politics in the cattle business. I'll tell you what, we got the NCBA convention coming up next week in Houston. There'll be a lot of people going down there, and a lot of people going down for the trade show, which is always a big gathering of different outfits that are active in the cattle business, and people that are selling products and services and things like that. But in the meetings upstairs there in the convention center, they're going to be trying to figure out what they're going to do. You know, they had set up after a big debate. They had backed a plan that they were going to try to work through a voluntary program to encourage packers to participate in more negotiated trade. And I called it the 75% of a robust market, because they had levels set, what they call a robust market, and they said that as long as we reach 75% of them, then that would be okay. And then there was a series of triggers that they would hit, and then you hit so many triggers, and then that would be a major trigger. And it seemed very confusing and didn't look like anything of it was going to happen. Well, we immediately tripped all the triggers, because packers just do not want to participate in much negotiated trade. They've got so many cattle already, and so much of their needs already taken care of through these formula deals, that they just don't need that many cattle, and whenever they get out there and then really start hustling to buy cattle on the open cash market in a negotiated manner, then chances are the market's going to get higher and they're going to have to pay more for cattle. So we just didn't see much of that happen. So the policy was through NCBA, and like I said, there was a lot of debate there that summer conference, and we had different state affiliates that felt very strongly about it, one way or the other. But they said that if the 75% of a robust market plan didn't work, that they were going to seek regulatory or legislative fixes that would encourage packers to do that. So that means, something that's not voluntary, which, NCBA, they also represent the packers. So how all that's going to sort out is going to be very, very interesting. But we'll see if they go ahead and do what they say they were going to do. They could get in there and support the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act of 2021, which is the compromise act between Chuck Grassley and his 5014 idea, and then Deb Fisher and her, more modest type of minimum requirements there. But they came together with a compromise act, something that they thought they could get passed. They still think that. They're still determined to get something like that done, even if NCBA doesn't get behind this act. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And we haven't heard anything out of NCBA really about what their plan is, or even what kind of meetings they're going to be talking about, and when they're going to have the vote or what. But they had just said that they were going to settle this at the convention, so we're kind of waiting to see. But we even had President Biden come out and do a special session there talking about our monopolistic controls of your packers and things like that, and said he was going to put a fix on it because it was causing so much inflation in our people's grocery bill. But we just didn't hear much at all from NCBA. And normally they have these press releases that they come out with and tell you exactly which side of the fence they're on, but we haven't heard anything yet. But if you hold your ear close to the ground, you can hear a little bit of rumblings out of there. Now you're starting to hear it from where we get that information, from these industry publications. And if you're like me and you've read those cattle magazines, industry publications, your bigger market mags and things like that, and you open those up and you know that everybody that's reading those is involved in agriculture, or especially the cattle business, and then you see these full-page ads that say beef, it's what's for dinner, or eat beef, it's good, or some kind of a beef advertisement in a cattle magazine. And you think, why are they wasting money on that? Why aren't they, saving that money up and putting it on during Yellowstone, or putting up a billboard in Times Square, or running it on some nationwide radio program or something like that? Why in the heck do they spend money in these publications? Well, they can kind of dictate what the publications put in there, and I didn't really understand that, or wasn't thinking about that. My friend Jack Payne from Fallon, Nevada, he told me about it, and I was just thinking about that, and I was a little curious about it. But whenever we got offered that money here at Feeder Flash and then turned it down, then I kind of understood how that deal all works. But not only is it hush money, if they don't want you talking about certain things, you can kind of also go around and push certain agendas, or try to get the populations to feel one way or the other. And if you look at the timing on a lot of this stuff here lately in some of your bigger publications, you kind of get to know what I'm talking about. But let's talk about your markets. What about the board on Thursday? February live cattle futures down 22 cents at 137.82. April was down 27 at 141.62 after we saw some pretty good recovery middle of the week, which pretty much gained back what we'd lost on Monday. But just kind of weak here late in the week. But your back months on live cattle down 62 cents to up 20, so mostly on the downside. Feeder cattle market, CME, January feeder cattle up 20 cents at 158.92, and getting very close to maturation there, and just getting right in there tight with what your index level is at. March feeder cattle down pretty hard, down $1.30 at 159.50, not even 160 on our out fronts in the spring, which have been so lofty there. That's based on an 800-pound steer. Well, heck, we're still getting 160, not as readily as we were a week or two ago, but we're still getting that. Well, we've been looking at nice premiums trading out into the spring, and now we don't even have 160 on our March contract. But you don't look at the back months there, and they were down 35 cents to down $1.10. Your grains, I haven't told you about them much, but they're kind of continuing to go higher as we go on. It's kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but if you just pay attention, it's just slowly growing. We got March corn contracts at 6.25 cents a bushel. Soybeans 14.48 1/4, both getting up there pretty good, and Kansas City hard red winter wheat is just whipsawing up and back and forth, and trying to keep up with that thing is crazy. But the latest settlement there for Thursday was at 7.93 cents a bushel there. Your fat cattle trade, not a lot of trade, and not enough to run it off what we've established earlier in the week. But like I said, it's just not real good in the southern plains in Nebraska. But Iowa, of course, they've got the best grading cattle there, and they always find buyers for those, and a lot of them are regional type buyers that will push the market for numbers and for quality when they need them, because they don't have so much of their needs already filled. But Iowa, about 1,300 head confirmed on Thursday, about 16,300 head for the week, which is not nearly what they do. They're usually over 20,000. But live sales from 137 to 138, and that's as good as we've seen all week on a live basis. The dress market is absolutely 218 and can't knock it off of there. But Nebraska, 1,600 head there, about 22,000 for the week. And that's light for them. They're usually at least around 30,000 even in these light trade days. But live sales at 136 in Nebraska, and 218, which the 218 is steady, like I said, the dress market, but that 136 is kind of light. Kansas, 2,000 head confirmed on Thursday, about 12,500 head for the week, which is light for them also. And the market 136 to 136 1/4. You see those quarters on a direct trade there, you know they're haggling hard there on those cattle. And like I said, the bulk of our trade in the Southern Plains has been 137. What the heck they doing trading at 136 and even 136 1/4? But Texas didn't have any confirmed sales on Thursday, and only 6,800 head for the week. And so it's getting there. They're getting pretty tough and playing hardball. How about box beef cutout values? And that could be the main reason they've been down here late this week after enjoying gains every trading day for 2 to 3 weeks there. But choice cuts on Thursday afternoon down 35 cents at 289.11. Selects down 62 cents at 279.10. Your slaughter running at a really good clip, and almost back to normal. I would say by next week we'll get back to normal. This Omicron deal is kind of washed over, and we've got people getting back to work and standing in their spots and ready to go to work. But 118,000, and we've hit that couple 3 days this week, and that's pretty good. If we get to 120, we would consider that fully normal. But so far for the week up through Thursday, 469,000 harvested on cattle, and that's 8,000 more than last week, and just 5,000 less than the same week a year ago. So we can't really complain about that too much. Your actual slaughter information for the week ending January the 15th come in, and our average dressed steer carcass weight was down 6 pounds. Kind of an eye-opener there at 922 pounds. But that's always a good thing when you see that come down a little bit, because it was up there at all-time record high, 928 on the previous report. But talk about what else is going on in the markets. How about Western Video Markets video sale that they had at Red Bluff, California on Thursday? The stick-out deal that I saw there that I want to talk about was the Bar V cattle from Pendleton, Oregon. It was 225 steers eating chopped hay and silage there, just kind of wintering them through there in Pendleton, Oregon, for mid-February delivery. So that's coming up here before too long. But these cattle did have programs and bells and whistles on them. They had a VAC program on them. They were NHTC or non-hormone treated. They hadn't had any implants. Verified natural. Natural is one thing, verified natural is better, and they were GAP 4, and GAP 4 is the main thing there. But 225 of those steers to weigh 800 pounds mid-February, bring $169.50. Wow, that's a good sale there on Western Video Market. And don't forget, the Red Bluff sale is going on. You already missed the video sale, but you know, they sold a bunch of lambs on there. Like 1,500 of them for $3.40 a pound. We may be in the wrong business there on that Western Video Market sale, but Western Video crews out there in Red Bluff. We got here today on Friday, we got the stock dog sale in the afternoon, and then got the horse sale in the evening, and then on Saturday, the main event, the big bull sale with around 350 breeding bulls there, consigned from your top breeders all over the West Coast there. Don't forget that sale. You can view and bid that on dvauction.com. I am going to be flying up to the Great North and going to be giving a presentation at Beartooth Stock Association's gathering at Red Lodge, Montana. Everybody's invited to go. I know that won't do most of you any good, but if you are in that area, come out to Red Lodge, and we're going to have a nice gathering there and got a presentation for you guys to listen to. Let's talk about your feeder cattle markets, brought to you by Margin Tracks by Midcon. Real-time index late in the day on Thursday at 157.41. That's down 69 cents, and it's fallen pretty steadily this week. And your markets are just cheaper, guys. And you know, when the board is struggling like that, and we don't feel like we've got a rush coming on anytime soon in your fat cattle market, even though your fundamentals say that we should be gaining ground in your fat cattle. We just don't get enough trade on a negotiated basis to get a higher market there. But it's sure lower all around this week. Calves not so much, but feeder type cattle and big calves that's got to go right into the feedlot, sure lower. Look at some of your big sales on Thursday. Winter livestock in Pratt, Kansas, 3,100 head there. Steers steady to $3 lower, heifers steady to $4 lower. But man, they had some stick out deals there, but they just sold them so good a week ago that, you know, it's that much lower. But talk about some stick out deals. How about 59 head, 861 pound steers in Pratt, Kansas, bring 160.10. You don't see many 8-weight steers bringing $160, guys, especially weighing up in the upper 8s there. They also had 86 head of 786 pound steers weighing just knocking on 800 pounds door at 166.75. So a good sale there in Pratt, Kansas, although it was lower in comparison with last week. About farmers and ranchers livestock in Salina, Kansas, also 3,100 head there in north central Kansas there. Couldn't really tell heads or tails from the federal state market report. You guys should go on there and read that. I mean, it's like a tongue twister, and you can't tell one thing from another. I did go on to Cattle Market Central and checked out the market, and then for the most part it looked like feeder weight cattle, big calves, and what yearlings they had sold $2 to $5 lower, which is kind of the way it's been around, and calves sold steady to $4 higher. So pretty decent sale there at Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina. Big sale in Ogallala, Nebraska at Ogallala Livestock Auction. Getting towards the last of their stock show specials. They've had big sales the last few weeks there, but another 6,200 head on offer Thursday in Ogallala. And the market was just so whippy last week, it's kind of like Pratt. It just had to be that much lower, and they called it $3 to $7 lower, and it sure looked that much lower to me on our automated market report, except for on your 6-weight steer calves, and they were close to steady, but everything else was sure lower. But look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central through DV Auction. You see your best tested weights of steers, 596 out of your 5-weight steer calves, average 556 pounds with a weighted average price of $198.23. Still sounds pretty good. And then your 6 weights that I told you were close to steady. I had a lot of them, 957 head of them, with a weighted average weight of 645 pounds and a weighted average price of $179.52. Your 7 weight steer calves in Ogallala, there were 612 of them at an average weight of 751 pounds and weighted average price of $163.23. Awful good sale in Ogallala with the extreme top that I saw on some pee-wee calves, 52 head, 409 pound fancy steer calves in Ogallala, Nebraska, bring $2.39 a pound. It's about as high as we've seen all winter here. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday in your National Beef Wire top quote for the day come out of Clarinda Livestock Auction in Clarinda, Iowa. Frank Hepker, John Anderson, my friends there, doing a good job up there, just up in the edge of Iowa on the southern end. 52 head, 662 pound steers bring $176.75. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.